everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing The Greatest Hits. So this movie is about a young girl who endures a car accident which kills her boyfriend. She survives it, and now every time she hears music that reminds her of her boyfriend because it was playing in like a certain like thing that they went through or a memory, um it takes her back there physically, like she time travels back there. Um, but I'm not sure if it's like physically because the people there with her, like, just see her like faint, and um she says she has seizures, but then she's not shaking. I guess she just kind of tells people that they're seizures. But then in the past, she's able to like move around, put stuff in different places, and then that's how she proves to her new boyfriend that she can time travel. But she doesn't actually, her body doesn't actually go anywhere, but then one would assume it does because she's able to do this. So I'm a little confused about that. So basically, she goes around wearing headphones, earplugs, to not kind of have these flashbacks. Basically intrude on her day to day life. But she does at home, like, listen to music to take her back so she can relive it, and also because she's trying to save her boyfriend's life, and so it would never have happened, and everything can kind of go back to the way it was. But there's this one instance where her friend tells her, like, will he like who you are now? The you now, like, is not the you who you were back then. Um, and I was kind of watching like a little short I found on TikTok, and they were describing how makeup tells a very important part of the story, and how she was very, like, she dressed more colorfully, she wore a lot more makeup and like bright fun colors with eyeshadows and stuff, and now she kind of like, you know, doesn't experiment with that anymore. She is very, like, down in the dumps, kind of keeping to herself and just trying to get through day to day, and go home and have to endure this to potentially save her boyfriend, which is not going to happen, because she discovers that she can't change his mind, she can't change his actions, um, and she doesn't know if it's because he's very stubborn, um, or because it's just like this is what was meant to be, this is what was meant to happen. And so the music takes her back to different points in her life. It can be anything from like car jingles to like songs to like commercials. And so she goes to a therapy group, to kind of, I guess, help her out, but she doesn't really talk in the therapy group. And then there she meets David, who ends up showing interest in her, and she ends up liking him, but she can't really tell him what's going on. The only one who knows is her best friend. She's lost a lot of people because she refuses to move on, essentially, and can't really, also. And so basically, she starts like hanging out with this guy. She kind of can't stay away from him, and then ultimately has to tell him, and he just can't handle it. He's going to the grief group as well, because his parents just passed away, and apparently him and this girl had met previously, or had seen each other previously, and their fates are kind of intertwined because the day that she that and her boyfriend got into the accident, he died, is the day that they saw each other. Um and so then she essentially just starts dating him. She kind of like, tries to stay away from, because he makes her happy, and she's trying to live in the present. And she knows that these attacks still happen with the music, regardless of the fact that she's like moved on, kind of, and she's happy. Um, but she discovers that she can't do it because it's going to be something that always happens to her. And so then she tells David, she's like, I have to go back. And basically, her actions are the only ones that she can change. She has to go back to the day that they met, which is, I think, like Coachella or something, and tell him that, like, no, like, I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to, basically, he calls her, like, are you going to dance with me? And she's like, no. Um, and that essentially changes everything, she right now she works at a library. She like tries to stay away from all the music she can. And she wanted to be like, I think, a music producer or something like that. And then so it changes everything in the course of time. She ends up being in her dream job. She ends up getting a dog. Like, she had her boyfriend's dog. I kind of felt sad the dog left, and was with the boyfriend again. I kind of wanted her to keep the dog, but he was happy. It was his dog originally, so I was like, okay. And then in the, like, fast forward to the future, she, like, and the thing is, like, she was so enamored by this guy. And so when she sees him, she kind of just, like, recognizes him in a way, but doesn't, like, know, because obviously, like, she doesn't remember. And she sees the dog, and I think the dog recognizes her more. Like, there's bits and pieces of, like, oh, I like deja vu, kind of like, I know you, but it's more so with the guy, David, than with, like, her ex, dead, now alive boyfriend. And so he's with another girl, and so I'm just kind of like, so was this meant to be, or were you meant to be with David? Because you were so in love with him, he was so in love with you, but I I didn't quite like him, when we went back in the flashbacks. He just kind of was like in his own, like, the way the friend explained it, like, he, did whatever he wanted, and he wasn't, that great of, like, artist, and he kind of just, like, did him and wrote by, um he just did his own thing. I was trying to come up with some reference, but, like, yeah, no metaphor that I can think of. But, like, yeah, so, like, he danced by the beat of his own drum. And so who knows? But, like, this whole movie is kind of like she was meant to be with David, that happened, and then she goes back and, like, she's like, I love you, when she first meets him, but, like, she says it, like, where he can't hear and everything, and she's dating David at this point. I'm just like, huh. And then when she kind of sees him, she recognizes him but doesn't, and then she runs into David. She tells David, like, before she does all this, like, come find me. And then she finds David, and then, like, she looks at him, and then it's kind of like she recalls him more. So I think essentially this was not meant to be. But it was like this whole infatuation of, like, I must, save him. And, like, it was this whole thing. I'm like, I don't really like the guy. I don't really think the guy is meant for you. I like David. Yeah, okay, it's meant to be with David. All right. And, like, it was kind of weird when David, like, just was like, okay, you have issues, I have them too. We're just gonna ignore the fact that you can time travel once she tells him. And then when she brings it up again, he was like, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm like, why are you with this girl if you don't believe her? Like, you're just like, I like her too much, okay? Like, all right, let's put it behind us. Like, I would not be able to do that. The only way she could prove it to him is by having an episode, and then basically, putting a note, and she puts what his mom used to say to him, because she heard her say it to him when she was in the past, because that was when they first saw each other. They didn't exactly meet, but they met. And so she hides it, like, in a desk where he says he will be able to find it later. And then he goes downstairs and he finds it, and it's like, and it's like, now you, okay. It's not gonna bother you that now she has, like, moments where she remembers her ex-boyfriend and then basically goes back in time, throughout the rest of your relationship, or that she's been, trying to save him for so long. Like, this is not a topic of conversation that we're I mean, she's with you, yes, but like she's clearly like kind of still hung up on this guy. I don't know. It would have been a really like hard relationship in terms of trust for me. I really liked her best friend though. I really liked how he just like believed her, and like he like they when he like played at like a gig where he was like trying to save the record store at one point. He was like playing music, and he always plays what's called safe music for her. And so these are like songs that haven't been tested, like, 'cause so she tries out different songs on records. That's just kind of her style of records. And she knows which ones trigger her and which ones don't. So she has safe songs, that she kind of like writes down. She has like this whole timeline and what songs work and which ones lead her where and everything. Sometimes she goes to the same moment multiple times. I think that's kind of exhausting. I don't know if like when or how that would work. I don't know, like there's like a limit to that. And then apparently she suffered like a brain injury, and that's maybe why she like has this. It kind of reminded me of like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist in a weird way. So yeah, I think it was just great that her friend like was really supportive of her. So yeah, I just think that there are certain things that just kind of like their relationship, you really wanted to make it seem like they were meant to be like, or like meant to be for that time, or that they really loved. I think you should have done more with them for us to really believe it. And then um I don't know, I just kind of needed a little bit more of like, I need to believe this and know where we're going with this, because this is kind of confusing. um But okay, and so she meets David again in a concert from like an artist that they both like. So yeah, and then I assume that they end up together again. Um, Good for her. But that's basically it. There wasn't really much. I kind of was disappointed. Um, I just kind of felt like I needed more. That's basically it. And I was left kind of like there was something lacking in terms of like the plot and how they made things seem. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all soon. Bye.